12 Monkeys. In 1996, this surreal noir steampunk science fiction masterpiece by director Terry Gilliam hit theatres. The unique, mind-bending tale explores time travel, a deadly virus, mental illness, and a plot about releasing animals from a zoo. It tells the story of Cole, played by Bruce Willis, a prisoner from a dystopian, run-down future world, where most of mankind's population has been wiped out by a catastrophic virus, where he must travel into the 90s in order to prevent the events which led to the deadly outbreak. However, once in the 90s, it is believed that Cole is mentally unwell and is a victim of his own delusions. Cole kidnaps psychologist Catherine, where he is hell-bent to prove that he is from the future and must stop the army of the 12 Monkeys. In this powerful movie which once you see, you will remember it forever. As thanks to its intriguing storytelling and stunning visuals and in-depth themes, 12 Monkeys is nothing short of a masterpiece. And of course the movie co-stars Brad Pitt, Madeleine Stowe and Christopher Plummer. Each one of Terry Gilliam's movies are movies that you have to see to believe, with many themes and messages for the viewer to think about long after watching the movies. And nowhere is his vision more alluring and appealing than in 12 Monkeys. So today we are going to get our Gilliam on and explore 10 things that you may not know about 12 Monkeys. So let's cut out the monkey business and do this.
We have a very advanced program, something very different.
An opportunity to reduce your sentence considerably.
Number 10. Rejected tagline. A movie's tagline is an important part of marketing a movie, as it's kind of like a code for getting in the potential viewers' heads and lightening that spark to make them decide to see a particular film. And 12 Monkeys had the tagline of, "The future is history." It's short, sweet, and to the point, and was a clever play on words, meaning the future will be destroyed, while playing on the time-travelling aspects of the movie. However, 12 Monkeys' original tagline was, "The future is in the hands of a man who has none." Admittedly, the tagline wasn't worded very well, but it was ultimately rejected as it was feared that people might get confused and believe the movie's main protagonist Cole indeed had no hands. For the record, I would totally watch a Terry Gilliam sci-fi movie about a main hero who has no hands. Number 9. Influence of the music. The music for 12 Monkeys was composed by British musician Paul Buckmaster, who had previously worked on scores for The Man Who Fell to Earth and The Son of Dracula, and his score is definitely unique in regards to the dark visuals and imagery of 12 Monkeys, with the main jingle sounding like happy tango music. Probably not the first bit of music that pops into your head when you think about a time-travelling movie where humanity gets wiped out by a deadly virus. Gilliam has explained that the score for 12 Monkeys was Argentino tango music, specifically Suite Pianta del Este, apologies if I mispronounced that, a 1982 orchestral piece by Argentinian composer Astor Piazzolla. I don't know what the connection between 12 Monkeys and tango music is, but it reminds me of Gilliam's other mind-bending science fiction masterpiece Brazil, which also is based around a dark, terrifying future world, where throughout the movie, the cheerful song Brazil is often played over the terrifying visuals. I guess it's a contrast of the scary dystopian failings of humanity clashing with the sweet dreams and desires of paradise. But hey, that's just my own interpretation. Number 8. 12 Monkeys is a remake. 12 Monkeys may seem like a one-of-a-kind story that comes along very rarely, however the movie is in fact a remake. Yeah, a remake. You know, those annoying things that plague Hollywood these days, to which there is no escape? Well, don't worry, I guess 12 Monkeys is one of the good ones. Up there with The Thing and Scarface. To be precise, 12 Monkeys is based on the 1962 French short movie La Jetée. Clocking in at just under 27 minutes, Le Jeté tells the story of a prisoner in a post-World War III apocalyptic world who was sent back in time to try and fix the past in order to save the destroyed future. And just like 12 Monkeys, Le Jeté also has romance, with the main protagonist finding love in the past. The movie, incredibly enough, is made up of still photo images, making it feel more like an art house movie or an experience, unlike 12 Monkeys, which is a much more conventional film. Number 7. Gilliam abandoned a movie to work on 12 Monkeys. "12 Monkeys" executive producer Robert Cosberg was fascinated by Le Jeté and convinced the director of that movie, Chris Marker, to allow him to pitch the idea of Le Jeté to Universal Pictures. It was there that the development of 12 Monkeys had started. It was producer Charles Roven who wanted Terry Gilliam to direct the movie, as he thought that his visual style and way of storytelling would be perfect for the film. After all, Gilliam had directed several fantasy movies at that stage, including Time Bandits, Brazil, and The Fisher King. However, when he signed on to direct 12 Monkeys, Gilliam had left another project he had been working on, called A Tale of Two Cities, a movie based on the Charles Dickens story which was to star Mel Gibson and Liam Neeson. This rendition of A Tale of Two Cities was never made, but thankfully 12 Monkeys was. And the irony of all this being is that Gilliam actually never watched the original movie Le Jeté, of which 12 Monkeys was based on. Despite the fact that Gilliam said making this mind-bending science fiction movie was easy for him, it wasn't all fun and games, as while working on the movie, Gilliam was involved in a horse riding accident, which actually nearly killed him. Number 6. Lawsuit. It seems that not everyone was impressed with 12 Monkeys when it hit the theatres, as American architect Lebbeus Woods filed a lawsuit against 12 Monkeys, namely Terry Gilliam, claiming that the movie had ripped off designs that he had created, namely a futuristic interrogation room which featured a run-down dirty room where a prisoner is strapped to an old hospital bed-style chair with a sphere coming down to do the interrogating. Woods claimed that the film crew did not seek his approval or permission to recreate his designs. And it seemed that the judge in the lawsuit agreed with him and ruled in Woods' favour, and in order to keep the scenes in the movie, Woods had to be paid a very large fee. Whether coincidental or indeed the set design was inspired by Woods' designs, one thing is for sure, it looks bloody great on film. Number 5. Brad Pitt had to be trained in being mentally unwell. So in 12 Monkeys, Brad Pitt plays Jeffrey Goins, a deeply psychologically disturbed young man. Pitt's portrayal of the movie is so spot on and intense, you forget that the actor in fact doesn't suffer any serious mental conditions.
Get it? Monkey.
As in the film, he is present with rapid speech patterns and twitches down to a T. Well, this is because in order to get himself ready for the role, Pitt was sent to a bipolar institute, where he would meet up with a professor there, who would teach the young actor the mannerisms and movements of mania and psychosis, thus making Pitt seem generally mentally unwell. And it seemed that the unconventional training worked, as Pitt would go on to get nominated for an Academy Award for his performance, and won a Golden Globe, proving that sometimes going the extra mile really pays off. Number 4. Original choice for Cole. So the big question was who would take on the important role of Cole, the complicated character who is closed off from his surroundings, coming from a dark, brutal world, who is both tough but also sympathetic and even tragic. Well, Gilliam's original choice for the part was in fact Jeff Bridges, whom he had previously worked on with The Fisher King. Bridges would have been an interesting choice and definitely would have pulled off the likability, but when he was proven to be unavailable, Nick Nolte was the next choice for the role, who would have been good for the alienation aspect of the character, but he too was unavailable. But finally the part was given to action star Bruce Willis, who managed to pull off the tough brute side of the character, but also the isolation and sympathy. However, this wasn't the only casting issue surrounding the character as Cole, as in the flashback scenes we see Cole as a young boy. The boy who was originally cast as young Cole just wasn't bringing out the performance that Gilliam was satisfied with, when finally he was replaced with the kid that we actually see in the film. And I don't know, is it just me, or does the kid who ended up starring in 12 Monkeys actually look more like Bruce Willis than the other one? Number 3, rejected movie poster. The movie had two main posters, this one which hit the theatres and this one which seemed to be present on most of the home medias released, such as VHS. Although I like the official poster, I don't like how the 12 Monkeys logo is in Bruce Willis's eye, as from a distance you can't really see that it's the 12 Monkeys logo, as it just looks like a red glow, making him look like a Terminator. I'm not really a big fan of the secondary poster either, as it doesn't really say much about the movie. Brad Pitt looks like me when I see a heap of bubble wrap, where I just know that I'm about to destroy that shit. And Madeleine Stowe looks pissed off that she's barely made it into the poster, and has sort of been tucked away in there. My favourite poster is the Japanese one, even if it does look a little Blade Runner-ish. It just looks interesting and more visually appealing. However, the poster that didn't get used is this really strange and somewhat terrifying poster. Say what you want to say about it, it does look very Terry Gilliam-ish, but probably more Gilliam-ish than the film itself. Very creepy stuff. And I don't know why, but it just reminds me of that bald guy from the Flash Gordon movie. Number 2, Bruce Willis got involved because of the Fisher King. Bruce Willis was in the back of Gilliam's mind when he was searching for someone to cast in 12 Monkeys, because Willis was originally considered for the role of Jack Lucas in The Fisher King, before Jeff Bridges took the role. The irony of this being, Willis was asked to star in The Fisher King, but Bridges got the part, and Bridges was considered for the role of 12 Monkeys, but Willis got that part, making the whole thing come full circle, I guess. Willis was worried that the obscure role would ruin his tough guy image, as in 12 Monkeys he does seem more vulnerable than his usual self. But it needn't have been a problem, as the next year he had The Fifth Element to star in and fix that problem up with. And both Bruce Willis and Madeleine Stowe had to take pay cuts in order to star in the movie, due to Universal having financial issues thanks to the failings of its previous science fiction movie, Waterworld. But Willis and Stowe both accepted the cuts as they both really wanted to work with Gilliam. I'd work for Terry Gilliam for free if I was given the opportunity. Number 1, the screening was a disaster.
Also on the faces of people going by, I see.
Movie screenings can always make or break a movie and determine how it's going to be fared up when released publicly. Sadly, the test screening of 12 Monkeys was a disaster, with the audience not enjoying the movie and downright not understanding it. I remember watching the downfall of the screen test fiasco in a documentary about 12 Monkeys, and it was generally sad seeing Gilliam having to take on the fact that the test audience didn't like his movie. And maybe it's just me, but I felt like he generally seemed heartbroken to the response, fearing that the movie would be a misunderstood flop. A very similar thing happened 11 years prior with the screening of Brazil, which resulted in the studio taking charge and drastically changing the movie to the degree where it no longer was a representation of what Gilliam wanted to say. However, this time around, Gilliam had full creative control and wasn't going to allow for interference to his movie, and released it as it was, and thus the movie was a huge hit, bringing in $168.8 million on a $29 million budget, proving that Gilliam did indeed have the right vision for 12 Monkeys. I sometimes wonder if studios put too much trust in screen test audiences, as there have been many classic movies which were unsuccessful in their screen tests. But that said, screen tests do actually sometimes help a film. Let's not forget that if it wasn't for screen test audiences, Rambo would have had a rather lackluster suicide at the end of First Blood. Maybe listen to the screen test audiences, but at the same time just not put too much faith in the reactions. Because if 12 Monkeys is anything to go by, it's a perfect movie with a perfect middle and a perfect end. And the movie just would have been thrown off balance if it was interfered with. Anyway, I'm Minty, and I'm sure that there's a parallel universe where there is an action science fiction movie where Bruce Willis plays a character who has no hands. See ya!